Why is it our weekly duty to always report on who has sadly left us?
I don't know. We decided a long time ago that was going to be part of our repertoire.
I thought we decided a long time ago that we weren't going to, we miss these people, but we can't just keep doing this over and over again.
Yeah, but, like with the internet out there and everything, I think the news is it's just more readily out there than it used to be, and so then it's like, well, if we don't address it, it's like we're ignoring the elephant in the room.
Well, we don't want to do that.
No.
So we have to talk about Peggy Lipton passing away at the age of 72, star of The Mod Squad, of course, and of Twin Peaks as well.
I saw that you posted a picture of her, so my first thought was like, yes. Oh no, did she pass?
Yes.
Oh, it's too bad.
Yep, really sad. The Mod Squad's one of those things that I don't feel has really come forward into the future with us.
No, I don't think it has.
No, they made a really bad movie in the 90s with Claire Danes. Okay, don't pretend like you can't do this. Claire Danes, Omar Epps, and Giovanni Ribisi, all playing these people who were characters that were specifically in the 60s. You could not...
Sure.
You had a flower child, a brother man, and like a dropout guy, and they didn't make any sense in the 90s at all.
No.
But they still wore leather pants for some reason.
Oh, boy.
And it did not work.
It doesn't sound like it would work.
No, it was a terrible movie.
Yeah,
And
yeah.
I think James Brolin might have been...
Oh, boy.
Or, Josh Brolin.
Josh Brolin?
Might have been the bad guy.
Okay.
Who was like the boyfriend of Claire Danes. Why are we talking about this?
I don't know.
We're talking about Peggy Lipton.
Yeah.
Who's, of course, the mother of Rashida Jones, amongst other...
Oh.
Yeah.
I didn't realize that.
Really?
Yeah. No, I knew Rashida Jones. I knew her dad was Quincy Jones.
Yeah.
But I didn't know who her mom was.
Well, now you know.
And now I know.
Yeah.
Oh, that's too bad. And she was on the revival of Twin Peaks, and she looked pretty good.
Yeah, she wasn't in it much.
No, but for what she was, I mean, she didn't seem like she'd aged that much at all. And
wow.
Do we know what she died from?
Cancer.
Oh, of course.
Yeah.
Can't I guess 50% of the deaths that
basically
we talk about is cancer. That's too bad.
Pretty much. So yeah, it's too bad. She'll be missed. One thing that I thought was interesting is that reboot of Twin Peaks, had its ups and downs.
Yes.
But it was good to see everybody back again. And the funny thing is, like, her character got like a happy ending. Basically, she's like one of the few characters.
It's true.
Who things turn out okay. She and Big Ed finally, after like 25 years,
right,
finally get together, and things kind of went out nice for them.
Yeah. No, I would agree with that.
Yeah. Well, you have to agree because it's true. Should be the byline for this show. That's not funny. Don't laugh. It's the Just Enough Trope podcast, this show. I'm your host, Caliban, joined as always by my co-host.
Hi, I'm Mikan Hana.
Doing a little different today. Going live.
Yeah.
For a couple reasons. We're very busy, so there isn't any time for post-production, and basically we have to do things on the fly. It allows us to do things like have sound effects, which are completely worthless. But we'll be just kind of going on the run today.
Yes.
Also, second, I want to keep it short for
Fair.
similar reasons, and also because we've just been hammering people with these really long shows that are just not necessary. We're going to be concise. We're going to get to what we're going to get to immediately. Today, that's going to be what?
Well, we are talking about the film Tolkien.
Oh, you always go right to the juice.
Oh, I'm sorry.
You gotta. First of all, there is. Oh,
I gotta set the table more.
Yes, Caesar salad with croutons. Wow, this sounds really fancy. It's croutons. Can you believe it?
Woo!
Yeah, right. And then you get into the soup, and then
Sure.
and then you get into like the meat, and then the piece de la resistance.
Right.
Right.
Okay.
Next time.
Yeah,
we're talking about Tolkien. We're talking about the movie Tolkien. For good or bad. Also, we're talking, of course, about Game of Thrones. We'll be talking about last week's episode.
Yes.
So by the time that you hear this week's episode will be out. I don't know why we do this, except for we record on Sundays. So there's no way to really get today's in, but there no chance of spoilers.
There
Get to
you
hear
go.
our thoughts about episode 4 of season 8, The Last of the Starks.
Yes.
We'll do some news as well, and then just a little fun. Thought we'd throw something in. We got to check out the film The Wandering Earth, which is the third biggest film of the year. Huge. Billions of dollars.
Yes.
Knock, knock. It's on Netflix.
I know, right?
Nobody knows that, and we're going to tell you about that.
Yeah.
And tell you about our experiences watching it. How's it going?
It's going well, Cal. Yeah.
Do you ever have a colonoscopy? Too personal?
Have I ever had one? No, I've never had one.
It's about time.
You think so?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. It's about time.
All right.
I'm tired of talking about people who have let cancer claim them. Well, they didn't let. It wasn't like they're just, just leave the door open. Whoa, cancer's in here.
Well, yeah.
But yeah, get checked. There's a lot of ways to get checked for stuff.
Mm-hmm.
Checking's good.
Yeah. I'm a little terrified, but yeah, I can do it.
Well, don't feel terrified.
Why not?
Because what's going to happen? It's better to know, right? Is it fear that keeps most people from doing stuff?
Maybe it is. Yeah. What?
Nothing. All live, no editing.
All right.
Lots of agreement too. Yeah, that would be, if that's my takeaway, is get checked.
Okay.
There's you can find online, or you ask your doctor, like, what age should we get all the stuff, and I think it's your mid-30s or after 40 is when you want to start thinking about, getting a mammogram, just getting checked out for that. Every 5 years or so, you're supposed to get not a full colonoscopy necessarily, but a sigmoidoscopy or something like that, just get checked out.
Sure.
No experience with this at all. No family members with cancer?
Well,
this is a pop culture show, by the way.
Yeah,
or maybe it's a cell culture show.
I had an aunt who had, I think, a benign. She had a breast cancer scare, but it ended up being nothing. My grandma had breast cancer, so.
Oh, okay. So lead buried there.
But. Yeah.
It's not funny. Yeah, anyway, so that's what I want to say. Just watch out for that. That's enough of that, by the way. Let's get to the news. Okay, so we talked about Peggy Lipton.
Yes, we did.
R.I.P. There's some other things that we need to talk about. There's actually kind of a lot of things that we need to talk about. Did you know, we've talked about, and in no particular order, because we're in a little bit of a rush here, we talked about the Stranger Things lawsuit. A guy.
Did we talk about it on air?
Yes.
Oh, okay.
Well, if
I
we
don't
didn't,
remember
a
talking
guy
about
who
it
had
on air.
worked for or worked with the Duffer Brothers, the guys behind the Stranger Things show, said that they had a development company or something. He brought an idea to them called Montauk, which was about like a town in the 80s that was near a secret government base, and weird things happened in the town.
Right.
It was based itself on like a real town that was by a government base in or around Montauk. Where supposedly, weird things happened.
Sure.
Kind of things that you'd hear on one of those podcasts it's all black and like green. Their art is always like, and there's some bald guy with a goatee and he's like looking at you like, oh, it's dark time radio or something like that.
Right.
Anyway, yeah. And so he sued them and maybe Netflix as well, but I know them because he said, you guys
took my
stole
ideas.
this idea.
Yeah.
And they said, what are you talking about? And after a few challenges, the trial, the case was still going through right up until recently. About a week ago, it was totally dropped by the pursuant.
Really?
Yep.
Huh. I wonder if they got to him somehow.
Got to him?
Yeah.
Matthew Modine showed up in his house.
Yeah,
what are you
exactly.
Doing?
Yeah.
What's going on? He released a statement to the effect of, "Oh no, it's no." Actually, he specifically said that he heard the deposition testimony. And he basically just recanted and said, "Oh, I was wrong.
Really? That's so weird. I wonder if they gave him money under the table.
Well, normally you accept the money because they give you the money, but they aren't necessarily. Like I read an article recently. Conan O'Brien wrote an article about how his show settled with this guy that sued them, saying that they stole some jokes from his Twitter or something. Okay. And Conan O'Brien goes, "Here's the story. We paid this guy, but." He posted these Twitters, and it's the kind of thing where it's a joke that's like, Judge Ito or whatever. It's like 34 other people had made the joke.
Sure.
But the guy said that the timing was suspect. Then later on, they had some jokes that were on his Twitter, like after they were on the air. So Conan just laid out how he basically like made this statement because he said, we paid the guy because we didn't want to go on forever in this case.
Sure. But
I defend my writers and I stand up for them. And it's a situation where I'm sure that we just kind of all came up with the same take on a situation. We don't sit and look at Twitter to find jokes.
Right.
So they paid, but also they're maintaining their innocence. In this situation, usually you take the money and you go, justice was done. And the other side says something like Conan O'Brien would say, which is, we just paid the guy. In this case, he's totally going, no, it's fine.
Where is this coming from?
I don't know.
That's what I want to know.
It's very conspiracy-esque.
Yeah,
now, you and I, and you say we haven't, here's another conspiracy, but I think we have talked about this in the air before. But anyway, the point is, we were talking about how can the credibility of the Duffers and Netflix as a show go forward after this?
Yes.
And maybe it can if you pay him extra money to say, oh, I was wrong, but he's keeping all the money. That way, Netflix and the Duffer Brothers get off scot-free.
I see.
And everybody's happy.
I see. He gets extra money and just, doesn't say anything.
Yeah.
Yeah. That makes sense.
Does it?
Yeah, I think so.
I'm going to adjust your mic live on the air.
Oh, boy.
Because you don't understand my hand signals.
I'm sorry. I thought I understood your hand signals. I guess I didn't.
That's why you were standing on your head.
Yeah, right.
We got to work out these hand signals.
Yeah.
So anyway, that's the end of that case.
Okay. I guess it's done. All right.
Did we talk about who Catherine Langford was playing in Avengers Endgame?
I don't think we did.
She's playing the daughter of Tony Stark, an adult version of Morgan Stark.
Yes, exactly. And I guess they tested it for audiences, and it was not clear to them who she was supposed to be.
They're like, okay, so she killed herself, and that's why she's in the Soul
stop
Stone?
It.
Or something?
No.
Yeah, I guess it was kind of confusing.
Yeah.
So they skipped that. What else? Do you have any questions about Avengers? I've been reading so many articles. I've listened to every podcast and every YouTube video where the Duffer Brothers, easy mistake to make, Russo brothers are just giving everything away like we said they would after the movie came out. Yeah. So anything you want to know?
I don't think so.
Great radio. Great radio.
I can't think of anything. No, I mean, I guess I want to know why Korg and Meek weren't in the big battle scene.
They were.
They were?
Yes.
How come we didn't really see them?
We do.
We do?
Yep. There's one.
I must have blinked and missed him.
You must have. They come out and Korg's got the alien's gun that he had in Ragnarok, and Meek's got knives or whatever he does.
Okay.
It's a real quick flash.
I totally missed it.
Yep.
I did see a meme that somebody did. It was like two pictures, and it was like Wong being like, "Okay, this is everybody, right?" Like open up the circles that Doctor Strange does, and I guess Wong does too. And then it shows a picture of the Defenders, and they'll be like, they're like, any minute now, like that portal's gonna open up for us.
Standing in an elevator,
right?
Right.
So yeah.
Yeah, that works. Less useful than Korg and Meek.
I guess.
Let's talk about Hellraiser. You know Hellraiser? Should.
Yes, the horror film where the guy has all the pins in his face.
Yeah, what's his name? Pinface, that's it. Well, it looks like they're trying to revive this. They've actually been trying to do this for a while, but it looks like they're going to reboot it, and David S. Goyer is going to be the writer.
Oh, boy. How do you feel about that? Not so great?
How do we get rid of this guy?
I don't know. Answer. I don't know if we do.
Do we put up traps, little strips, he'll stick to them or something? Or like, how do we get rid of this?
How do we get rid of any bad writers is what I want to know.
There's mothballs or there Goyer balls. That's what I need to know.
Yeah.
This guy won't go away.
No.
And it's like every franchise has to pass through him.
Mm-hmm.
It's like the shitty touch that you have to get before you can get into the industry proper.
Gross.
It's very pornish.
It's very gross.
In that way. Yeah, I don't like it. But apparently he wants to remake this and sort of reboot it. You don't have an opinion?
I have never seen the films.
We did a Wes Craven week, didn't we?
We did, but
the lesser-known films of Wes Craven. Or sorry, I'm thinking Clive Barker. Oh, my mistake. It's Clive Barker, everybody. Wes Craven's not going to be happy about that.
No.
Clive Barker won't have anything to say about it. So anyway, yeah, I saw that on Variety. They misspelled Hellraiser in the body of the article.
You are kidding me.
It's really
That's
great. It's
embarrassing.
Really it's really, yeah.
That's really bad.
It will be a reimagining, which is probably good. The thing about Hellraiser is that there's been like 6 or 7 movies.
Sure.
And each one of them, goes to a new place but tries to add a little more, add on. I still think the best are the first and second films are very, very good.
Sure.
The rest, not so much. But this will be a totally new sort of take on it.
I mean, I guess if you're going to redo it, just do a new take, right? But
I guess so.
Are they based on anything? Do they have any source material, or the movies
Clive
themselves?
Barker has written many, many, many short stories and a couple novels, all featuring his fear and a handful of dust sort of methodology.
Okay.
Yeah, so he's was a very prolific guy.
All right.
So we'll be looking forward to that, I guess.
I guess.
What else is going on? Looks like the New Mutants movie has been pushed back again.
I heard that.
It's been pushed back from August 2019, which will not be coming out, till April 3rd, 2020.
Yeah.
This
honestly,
is 2 years past its original date.
I'm going to be surprised if this film comes out
So
at
will
all.
Maisie Williams.
Yeah, I know, right?
Yes.
I feel kind of bad for Maisie Williams and for all the other young stars.
I feel bad for Josh Boone, a guy who I have not been really excited by his stuff just yet, but seems like a guy who was going somewhere, and now this movie has hijacked, half a decade of his life.
It's just too bad it keeps getting pushed back. I just don't understand what the reasoning is.
The longer it gets pushed back, the longer it continues to propagate the lame duck X-Men universe.
Right.
Everybody is looking at Dark Phoenix as the end. I don't know if it's good. I don't know if it's going to be good.
Right.
But it's going to cap off that whole thing, and we'll just move on, and presumably in another 4 or 5 years we'll get a whole new cast of X-Men and so on and so forth.
I saw a article. I didn't actually read the article, but it.
Didn't read it.
But I read the title being that Disney has more or less said that they are going to recast the X-Men except for Deadpool.
Yeah.
So, like all of them.
Yeah.
So, I'm not super surprised by that. I guess I'm excited to see what that looks like, and hopefully it won't take them like 10 years to like reboot. I mean, maybe we have to wait till this New Mutants film comes out to see other.
Yeah. Let's just get it going already.
Yeah, I know, right?
Frustrating.
Yes.
Do you know what else is going on in the world of Disney?
What else?
Disney has announced that they are delaying the Avatar films. This is all part of the same announcement here.
All right.
The Avatar films, which are nominally Fox as well, are being pushed back a little bit. Mm-hmm. Avatar 2 will now come out in 2021, Christmas 2021. That's a year from its original 2020 release date.
Poor James Cameron.
He's... it's more than pot committed. Like, he is totally committed to these things. Avatar 3 will come out in 2023. Wow. And Avatar 4 will come out in 2025. And Avatar 5 will come out in 2027. So 2 years in between each of those. Okay. I still think this is extremely optimistic.
I do too.
And then, of course, the Star Wars films have been announced. The new trilogy will come out Christmas of 22, 24, and 26.
Okay, well, they're not really taking that much of a break.
And that's all we know.
Yeah. Okay.
We know that there's been some shakeup. There was rumors that the Rian Johnson one was maybe not going to happen. The Benioff and Weiss, we are working on something. So we don't know what this new trilogy is going to be. But
that's true.
It's always good to have a deadline.
Yeah, I guess so. Hopefully they can make it.
How far in miles is that cart ahead of that horse?
Yeah, pretty far.
Can the horse see the cart from here?
Yeah, I don't know.
That's what I need to know.
Yeah, right.
Speaking of getting ahead of yourself, looks like Richard Madden is in talks to star in Marvel's Eternals film, which, that's my horse, looking for that cart, is coming up here. Be good to start shooting this thing, huh? Wouldn't it?
Yeah. When is it supposed to come out?
I know that your ability to ask questions that I can't answer is faster than my internet loads.
Sorry.
So I'm going to say, I don't know. It's not in this Variety article.
Of course not.
Damn you, Variety. 2020, I would say.
Okay.
Right next year.
All right.
but maybe not.
Well, hopefully they get this thing cast and off the ground. Like, wasn't Angelina Jolie rumored to be cast in that film as well?
She was circling it.
Yes.
To see if she lands.
Right.
They also want to have an openly gay character for this.
Well, right, because the first openly gay character was one of the Russo brothers in Endgame, and it's like, but like you've said, we wanted it to be one of the heroes, really.
That'd be a lot better than Guy, who is in a support group in the beginning of the film.
I know, right?
Who's going to have like, oh, I got my husband back. And then his husband's like, you did what? You went on dates?
Right.
Delete your Grindr profile right now.
I know, right?
Ruin that relationship.
Weird.
And even Jim Starlin's not going to be able to help them.
No.
Get through that. Also, on the sort of Fox schedule, Gambit is officially, for now, dead. It has been dropped from the schedule.
That's
Finally.
too bad. But
Finally.
I guess it's better than getting pushed back continually like New Mutants.
That one has been in talks, like serious, we're actually doing thing talks, not just we bought it in the 90s or something.
Right.
Longer than it took to sign, cast, shoot, and not release New Mutants.
Right.
Like, that movie's development encompasses the development and shooting, and of course it hasn't been released yet, but it's older than New Mutants.
It's just crazy.
What's Channing Tatum going to do?
I don't know.
What's he going to do with himself?
Not do that, I guess. Find something else to do that'll actually get production dates and stuff like that.
How do you feel about him?
Channing Tatum? I think he's a decent actor. Maybe a little eccentric, but I think he does a good job. He shows up. He does the work.
Have you exhausted your basket of cliches about this actor?
Maybe.
I think he's a lot smarter than he gets credit for.
I could see that.
Like Ryan Reynolds, similar guy, rippling abs, gets these kind of action movies, but like kind of funny action movies or whatever. Whip smart, as always, unless somebody's running his Twitter for him, like kills it on Twitter. Just a real clever guy. And I think Channing Tatum, people are like, okay, all right, dum-dum, have a cookie. But I think he's pretty savvy.
Yeah.
I think he's a real smart guy.
I think you're probably right.
We just don't ever see it.
Maybe we just don't get the opportunity to see it.
And we never will. Although I don't think that he would sound very smart if he's like, be a sure bet, mon ami. You're like, okay.
I guarantee.
This guy can't talk. Guy got hit in the head with a playing card. Another smart guy is Chadwick Boseman. He's lined up to play Yasuke, the first African samurai in a film.
Oh, okay.
This is a real story.
Based on a real person.
Yes, but real story about a guy who I think lived, don't quote me, but in the sort of Edo period or maybe the late Meiji period.
Okay.
And he was African-American guy. Not African-American.
Right.
African guy, who ended up in Japan and was a swordsman.
That sounds pretty cool.
Yeah.
I'd watch that. Hope it's a good one.
How are they? They are doubling down on this is a minefield. This is a Oreo double stuffed minefield. 2 times the mines. How are they going to do this?
I don't know.
You make a movie set in Japan.
Yep.
It stars Tom Cruise. Already you're like, oh,
right.
Right. Like there are a lot of pitfalls there. Then there's the pitfalls of adding an African character, a black actor into the mix. How are they going to mess this up?
I don't know. I hope they're sensitive to the to the actual person, and I hope they're which I don't know, maybe he experienced racism in his time, I'm not sure, but I hope that they just deal with it sensitively, and I hope they don't ignore things as they come up, and I hope it's better than The Last Samurai, personally. So,
oh, you don't like Last Samurai?
It's okay, but it's a Tom Cruise movie.
It has everything going against it. Mm-hmm. And one of those things is Edward Zwick. I'm not like a huge Edward Zwick fan. You go, what about Glory? It's like, Glory's good. Glory's fine. But he just made Glory again, only in Japan, with a white guy.
Right.
And I have a friend from high school who hates, or at least he hated at that time, Tom Cruise movies. And I really liked Tom Cruise because I was under his, white guy, crooked smile sort of spell.
Oh, sure. Yeah.
And I kind of followed him, like, as I went to acting school. I felt like he was getting better acting as well. And so I saw him get better, do things like Magnolia, and go, okay, you know what? This guy can actually act. Then he's just Mission Impossible guy, and he'll never really have to act again. So too bad for that. But I remember he hated Tom Cruise movies, and we were trying to get him to go see A Few Good Men. Come on.
Okay, sure.
Aaron Sorkin, Few Good Men.
Right.
Right? You can't handle the truth.
Right.
And he's like, no, I don't want to see that. Why not? Because every freaking Tom Cruise movie is always the same. He's this guy. He can't do any wrong. And then there's this lady, and it's like, let's have sex on this desk. And then they do, and then it's like, oh, we found the secret papers. We're sitting on them or something.
Right.
And he wasn't wrong necessarily. And so this is kind of that movie. You go, oh, let me guess. Tom Cruise is a white guy.
Right.
He goes to Japan.
Yep.
He realizes these people, they're so smart. I can't believe I thought that they were dumb.
Yeah.
And what's that? They do samurai stuff. Could I be the best samurai? Because I've done this for 2 weeks.
Right.
That kind of what it is.
Yeah.
And then spoiler alert, do they all die and he lives? Yes, they do.
Yeah.
And it's like, wow.
Yeah.
But that being said, it's not bad. Ken Watanabe is really good.
Well, Ken Watanabe is very good.
Apparently it's very, not very, but it's very, I'm just going to say very, it's very historically accurate, or at least it takes the circumstances that people found themselves in at that time. There were, the guy that Ken Watanabe plays is a real guy. He did resist the Meiji government,
sure.
and was like fighting against them, and had a similar thing where they had this last stand where they kind of get wiped out. And then while he was trying to resist modernization, he lost, and Japan did, of course, modernize.
Right.
But in a reversal that you see happens in the movie, he became this kind of folk hero. Japan went, okay, so we do want cell phones. That guy's wrong about that. But that sort of spirit, of the ancient warrior, that sort of nobility class, like, we're going to keep that forward. And then he's like a national hero now.
Right.
We are kind of off topic. But it's fun to talk about Tom Cruise's technique of having sex on a desk.
Right.
And then the secret papers fall off and go, this is it. A code red. Hey, how about some CW news?
All right.
The Batwoman show going forward.
Okay, good. I thought it already was, so
well, it was
good news.
Ordered to pilot. Now it's been ordered to series.
Okay.
As has Katie Keene, the spinoff from It's Scary, It's Riverdale.
Oh, the spinoff from Riverdale?
Yeah, it's a spinoff from Riverdale starring Lucy Hale. And the Nancy Drew show is going forward as well. Oh,
okay. All right.
Your pal,
Sounds
Greg
good.
Berlanti's just making some more money.
Some shows.
Just printing it.
He, I saw something recently, he has, like, broken some sort of record for, like, producing or executive producing shows on the air.
Yeah. Yeah, he broke it a while ago.
It is insane,
yep.
like, how much he is actually assisting with. So, yeah. Doing well.
What does he do? Does he take... How does he...
How does he what?
Is he just have his phone surgically implanted in his head?
He must.
Like, does he take breaks? Like, how does he just chill out?
Yeah, I don't know. Like, he just goes swimming in his pile of money, and that's how he relaxes.
So,
yeah.
You see him, and he's covered in paper cuts. You know what happened.
Exactly.
Other shows that have been greenlit for certain places and certain faces. We'll talk about that in just a second. ABC has gone forward with the Stumptown order.
Oh, right.
This is the show based on the series of comics about a PI in Portland.
Cool.
OR, starring Kobe Smulders as the main character.
Which is... Didn't we talk about how, like, that character isn't necessarily... like what you think of as being like quote unquote beautiful or whatever.
Wait,
like
fired because she's hot?
No,
it's how TV works.
I know. So.
Yeah. Well, anyway.
Anyways,
for me, it's just like there's a sort of quality that I guess we're going to complain about somebody being too hot, huh?
I guess we are, which seems
petty
of us.
It's got nothing to do with hotness. It has to do with somebody, because this is the character I think was created and developed after Jessica Jones, but is essentially a Jessica Jones type character.
Sure.
She's a hard-drinking, hard-living female PI. And so let's cast Jessica Jones. Michael Gaydos has never taken pains to make sure you knew that she was the most beautiful woman in the Marvel Universe.
Yeah.
And then we cast Gia from Veronica Mars.
Yeah, I know.
It's like, okay, I guess we're going to go a certain way with this.
Right.
It's going to be set in Milan on the catwalk or something. Let's get mad at her for how hot she is.
I know.
And then it's a similar thing. It's like statuesque. You have to imagine statuesque Kobe Smulders drinking too many Molsons or something like that and passing out on a couch.
Right.
It could happen.
I suppose.
It could totally happen.
Sure.
I was looking the other day, so can't talk about it yet. It's a secret project, but I was watching Die Hard for a secret project.
Yes.
And in Die Hard, there's a character, Carl, played by Alexander Godunov, who was a ballet dancer. He was a Bolshoi ballet dancer. Wow. Yeah, very famous.
Okay.
He defected to the U.S., and became an actor for a while. And he was in this. He was in... he's been in a couple things. He was in The Money Pit.
Oh.
Remember The Money Pit?
Yeah.
He was the conductor of
wow.
the orchestra. Yeah, that Tom Hanks thought that Shelley Long was sleeping with.
Oh, great.
She does at one point, but whatever. They're on a break. He died young. He died in the 90s.
Oh, really?
And I didn't know what it was, and I looked it up. Alcohol. He drank himself to death.
Oh, wow.
You know, he's been a drinker. You can't blame the guy. He's running from the KGB and stuff like that, but just never really thought about that. And so, yeah, I mean, you know, everybody's got problems.
And the guy who plays his brother in Die Hard, they look a lot alike.
Dude, they're blonde.
I know. They're blonde and they're Germanic, so I guess...
Or Russian.
Or Russian, which have you. Yeah.
Well, speaking of people and how they look, this show has... A little flap has happened online because an actor named Mark Webber was fired from the show recently.
Stumptown?
Yep. He was set to play the friend and unrequited crush of the main character on Stumptown. He was fired because he wasn't good looking enough.
Are you kidding me?
So
we're talking about actors being too good looking.
Without saying you're not good looking enough, they essentially fired him because...
Why cast him in the first place then?
Yeah. I guess
that is a mistake of the casting
one
director.
of the producers didn't make it to the backers audition that day.
I guess.
And then saw the dailies later.
And
was
they're like, nope.
And this guy's like, I can't really tell you like what this guy's been in. He was in Snow Day like years and years ago.
Okay.
As a kid.
Sure.
I guess he was in Scott Pilgrim. Oh no, he is. He's the main guy in the band in Sex Bob-omb in Scott Pilgrim.
Oh,
he's,
okay.
Neil Young or whatever.
Okay, sure. Yeah.
Is that his name? Or Young Neil?
Young Neil.
Young Neil is the drummer or not the drummer? He's the anyway, he's the guy in the cowboy shirt.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
He's married to an actress named Teresa Palmer, who's also been in some stuff you may or may not know.
Okay.
And yeah, and he went on like a screed on like Twitter, like he kind of went off, and it's like give it a day or two or three before you go. Unfortunately, I wasn't able to continue forward, but he went off and said he was degrading, and he was using a little bit of profanity, and so I don't blame him.
No,
but
it seems a little public to do.
But then again, you know whose fault it is?
Who?
Kobe Smulders. For being so hot.
I know, right?
Being like a little gold gilded maple leaf.
Yeah, I guess so. Gilded maple.
Is she really from Canada? Or is
I
it just
think she is.
A character's from Canada.
I don't know.
I've never heard her pronounce an O before.
But yeah.
Yeah, so anyway, I guess more on that as we go. Before we get out of this, you think that show's going to be any good?
I hope it is, but I honestly, I don't know.
It's ABC, so it's like, see what I got in my hand here?
Yeah.
It's round. It's got two sides.
Yeah.
You go like this. Boop. You go,
yeah.
What do we got?
I know.
Call it.
I know.
Could be good, could be bad.
Could be good, could be bad. Too bad it's not like on Hulu or like, I was going to say.
Yeah, Hulu shows are great.
I know, right? Okay.
Why did you just dive in for Hulu?
I was just thinking Disney, but like off-brand Disney or like more adult Disney.
Yeah, I love that Cloak and Dagger show. That was great.
All right.
Apparently it gets better. What is it with
these
shows?
A lot of shows they say that about it.
Yeah,
and
but what
it's
is
like,
it with these shows
why do
that
I
it's
have
like,
to watch it
let's put the
it
crappy
gets
stuff
better?
on first.
I know.
Yeah, let's make sure the pilot's crap.
Like, let's hook them in with the crappy stuff. That'll create fans for life.
Yeah, I don't
don't get it.
I don't really get that either. I will say, before we go here, Disney has essentially cut Fox's film slate in half.
Yeah, that doesn't surprise me.
The projects that they inherited. And then this summer, Bob Iger, CEO of Marvel Entertainment, has said that they will release the post-Avengers movie slate. So I don't know how far forward it's going to go, but they're going to, after Spider-Man,
I'm assuming.
Yeah. Then they'll let us know what their plans are going forward, because I think a lot of people are curious.
Yeah.
You got any theories?
Well, I think the Eternals will be in there somewhere, obviously.
Well, we know that.
Yeah. What else? I don't know. It's hard to say because like we have all those Disney Plus TV shows that are following characters that we know and care about from the films.
Yeah.
So, and I think you said this before, but like the Falcon Winter Soldier show should really be Captain America Winter Soldier show. So, but I don't know. I guess what would I like to see? And we know we're getting a Guardians 3, right?
Yes.
That's more or less.
Yes.
So I hope Thor is in that, but I don't know. That's kind of one of my hopes.
If Robert Downey Jr., and this is, we really have to move on. If Robert Downey Jr. and Chris Evans are both gone.
Yes.
And maybe this is good for the character, but doesn't it feel like Chris Hemsworth is that guy that comes back to visit his teachers the year after he graduates?
Yeah.
Like summer after freshman year.
Yeah.
He's like, hey, what's going on? Hey, yeah, I'm just, you're still good doing that. Okay, great.
Right.
Wow, everything looks so small.
Right.
Hate to lose him. Hated to lose Cap and Iron Man.
Yeah.
But shouldn't you? Or did you? Oh, no, you know what? He's really the one who put himself to task to have a career outside of this. RDJ is like, I'm going to do yoga and I'm going to do Iron Man movies.
Right.
And Chris Evans is like, I will try to direct my own films and I will fail and pick up the shield. And Hemsworth is like making Michael Mann films. He's making Ron Howard films, tanking them all.
Yeah. But
he
he's
probably
trying.
had a real life like tub of ice cream moment.
Oh, boy.
And was like, I'll just be Thor forever.
Yeah, right. I'll
just be Thor forever. That's what I'll do.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. I don't know.
Great. All right. Well, let's talk about some another set of actors who have to worry about where the paycheck's coming from. We'll introduce it with this Jaguar sound effect. We're talking about Game of Thrones, Episode 4, Season 8, The Last of the Starks.
Yes.
What do you even call it? The denouement, the come down from the Battle of Winterfell, and the come up to the walls of King's Landing.
Yes.
As we get ready for this last battle.
Yes.
There are 2 episodes left.
I know.
Period.
I know. I'm nervous.
How much table setting can you do?
They can do a lot.
And
a lot.
Let me just set you up here. How poorly is this show written that we are 2 episodes from the end and we are still introducing new developments? Oh, there'll be spoilers for last week's episode.
Right.
In this.
Right.
How can we be setting up now that,
I know.
Oh, I guess Daenerys is the bad guy?
Yeah, lots of people have been hinting at or more or less saying, oh, she's the Mad Queen. That's definitely, and
Right.
here are all the reasons why.
I guess that was always in the offing.
Uh-huh.
But why are we just laying on that right now?
I think because her and Cersei are kind of just met face to face for the first time in last week's episode.
Did we get... I'm just going to hammer you with questions, and you're probably not going to answer them. And so here we go. Did we get, over the course of 7 seasons, enough development from Cersei that we now know that she is just hell-bent on destruction and, death by a dragon, basically, and she wants to take everybody with her, and so we don't have to go or visit her at all in these last episodes? Because we haven't. First episode, a little bit in the second, we get that she's resolute. She's going to force this confrontation.
Right.
And now we don't have to know her psychology. I'm sure we'll see her next episode, and depending on how it shakes out, the last episode. But she's locked in now.
Yes.
Part of me hates that because one of my favorite characters, probably my favorite actress, I guess, still living on the show. Sucks that we are not spending any time. I like Cersei. I want to see her. But I think they've done a good job bringing her to this point where it's like, okay, slotted her in. We know, put her under the heat lamp. We're going to serve her later. You know what I mean?
Yes.
Meanwhile, we're still jerking around trying to figure out what the tone is with Daenerys and how we feel about her.
I know.
And I feel bad saying this because I have been critical of Emilia Clarke's acting in the years past.
Yeah.
She does a fantastic job in this episode. She's required to go through a lot, and we see a lot from her, and she hits it, she nails it, and things are happening on her face, and it's she does a great job. But
she does.
Really, like the last minute heel turn.
Yeah, I don't know what they're kind of like. What they're going for here. You
know this show loves women. You know it loves women. Loves them.
No way.
So really, after all this, we're going to just end with doofy guy on the throne. Ladies be crazy. Ladies be burning.
I hope not. I mean...
After all of this.
I mean, we're kind of getting Tyrion and... what's his name? Varys. They're talking, and they're kind of like, well, I kind of think that Jon might be a better ruler, is what Varys is saying. And Tyrion is like, yeah, but I believe in our queen. And he's kind of, I feel like he's kind of being stubborn because, like, this is the choice, and this is the choice that they've made, and, like, he's sticking with it.
Yeah.
I don't know. Like, I think they're kind of making her out to be the Mad Queen because she's kind of crazy to be like, I'm going to attack you, Cersei, when I have these depleted troops. And I'm a little bothered by, like, them, like, killing one of the dragons, like, so easily. But, what are you going to do? They created all of these arrow shooting machines and... Off screen? Yeah. So
yeah, I mean you're okay. All right. You're talking about things that happen.
Yeah,
I'm trying to get to the core of
what's going on.
Where these characters going to land? Like why? Where are we at?
Yeah.
And what it comes down to, sadly, with 2 hours left, and they could be as long as they want, I guess. So at least 2 90 minutes, 6 hours left. That's not math. 3 hours left. Shut up. If they went 6 hours, people would be like, I'll watch it.
Right.
Yeah, it works the next day. You like that? Oh, that's great. That's really cool. So basically, like, what it comes down to is who's going to kill who. And I just wish that it didn't have to come down. Like, the end of The Lord of the Rings, people complain about how long it takes to end, but it doesn't come down to who kills who. It comes down to where everybody lands, as the characters.
I do kind of feel like with this season, we're just checking things off.
Yeah, so let's check them off now.
Okay.
Varys killed by Daenerys.
Oh, okay.
Right?
All right, sure.
He's like, he'll make some move or say something or try to stop her from doing something, and she's told him the show loves to have somebody say, I'm going to do this, and then they do it. So she'll kill him. Tyrion will be killed by Cersei or Euron. Remember we said that Euron's going to have to do something really bad, and it's not just killing a dragon that we don't care about.
I don't know that Cersei, even though she doesn't really love Tyrion, I don't think she could necessarily kill him. So I think it'd be more like.
You think Cersei couldn't kill Tyrion?
Well, maybe.
Maybe she has Euron do it.
Yeah. That
makes Jaime kill her.
Yes.
And I think Jaime's going to walk away from this.
I think he is too.
So Brienne follows him south or stays in the north?
I think she's going to stay in the north because.
You want to talk about her aborted character?
Well.
Frustrating.
It is very frustrating. I mean, like, people have shipped her and Jaime for a long time. So, I mean, seeing that happen, I was fine with it. But then to have her, I don't want to say that, like, crying makes you weak, because I don't think that that's the truth. But she's such a quote-unquote strong character. And then for her to, like, be crying over Jaime leaving, it seems
I understand that it's, yes,
emotional.
I see what you're saying.
Yeah.
We've had a woman crying as a guy's like, gotta go.
Right.
Doesn't look good. If you think about it in terms of a character who his entire character is wrapped up in the sexual politics, the backwards sexual politics of Westeros, who has put all of her chips on being an emotionless person who can withstand anything because that's who she has to be in order to be accepted as a knight. And then, also secretly or passionately loves this person, and then finally gets a chance to
be with them,
indulge and give into it, and then is taken away from her. Whatever that character's sex, that character would be emotionally wrecked by that.
That's true.
But since she also has spent her entire life repressing those emotions, you think that in that moment she could go, I'm bigger than you, and you're not going anywhere unless I'm coming with you, or something, instead of just, don't go.
Yeah. Exactly.
I think they sold her out.
And then,
who kills Sansa?
I actually think Sansa's going to walk away with this, too.
I hope she does, but maybe Euron kills Sansa. But who would that piss off?
Arya.
These are all stacked on top of each other, right?
Yeah.
So you got Arya and the Hound. They're going to fight the Mountain. They're going to Yoan and marry the Mountain, right? Only we're going to flip it around, right? So I am a man.
Right.
And I'm a girl. I'm
and
no one.
She's going to try to kill Cersei.
They're going to kill the Witch King of Angmar.
Yeah.
The Hound's going to go down, and she's going to mercy kill him because she didn't before.
Oh, I could see that. Yeah, definitely.
I don't think this show's very well written.
No.
At least not at this point.
No.
Anything else you want to say? We got 2 more things to get to.
Do you think that Daenerys and Jon would rule the Iron Throne together?
I think Daenerys will be dead next episode.
All right.
Or maybe the last one.
All right.
What a prediction.
I don't know. I think Jon is going to survive, but he's not going to want to rule. But,
he's going to have to.
The amount of people that know.
A dude.
I know, right? The amount of people that know who he is now.
Plus, he's Jesus. If you bring somebody back to life, the guy's got to be the king.
I know.
Okay, well, that's our not very good thoughts about the show. I just not a lot to say.
No, and I wish...
We'll have a better post-mortem, I guess, when it all shakes out.
Yeah.
What do you wish?
I wish this season was more than just checking things off. I wish there was more drama, in it.
Yeah. The show itself and also the books, George Martin has said this, is that a lot of it is about the arc of redemption and can a character be redeemed if they have done some of the things that some of our characters like Jaime has done. And so we know that that's what his story is heading to, but there's only a couple steps to make. How can you make... It can't all be wrong.
Right.
Just by probability.
I know.
So, yeah, come on, show. Get it together.
Exactly.
All right, here's our transition into The Wandering Earth. I don't know. It's like some kind of warning siren or something. The Wandering Earth is a movie that's on Netflix. It is a Chinese film and is specifically set in China, kind of. It's actually set kind of all over the solar system.
That is true.
What would you say happens in The Wandering Earth?
The Wandering Earth is about this guy who is an astronaut, and he's also a father. He has a young son, and he is leaving on this mission. They are going to... They're going to Jupiter.
No.
For something.
No.
Well, the Earth is wandering because the sun is about to...
There we go.
Expand and implode and eat the Earth. So they have to move the Earth out of the solar system, basically.
As you do.
So they have all these engines around the world, on half of the world, I should say, pushing and pulsating it forward. And people live in cities underground because topside is you can't breathe the air. You need to be in a spacesuit, basically. So the astronaut's kid, we move fast forward, and he's a teenager, and he's 17 years old or whatever. And him and his sister go topside, and because they're just curious, and all this stuff kind of goes down. The Earth is getting pulled into Jupiter's gravitational pull.
Right.
So that creates a lot of issues.
Right.
And drama ensues.
Yeah. It's based on a book by Liu Cixin, who's a Chinese author, and he's had a lot of success recently. In the past, decade or so. He's won a Lucas Award. He's won a Hugo Award. A lot of people have been really strong on his stuff. I have not actually read any of his stuff. I own a couple of his books, and I haven't gotten to read them yet because I don't read books anymore. Yeah. I just don't have time. But anyway, this was one of his popular books, and of course, it's made into this movie. And this is like a huge international sort of thing. Like it's, it's produced by a Chinese company, like the China Film Group or whatever. They spent hundreds of millions of dollars on it. It's made $700 million so far at the box office. Yeah, it's like the third biggest movie this year. And yet, no American distribution. Basically dropped with no fanfare onto Netflix. That's strange.
It is strange.
What is up with that?
I don't know. Maybe because it is a foreign film, and
Roma.
I know.
Roma.
I know. That did have
which was literally on Netflix,
even though it was on
Netflix first. Yeah.
I don't know why they haven't been talking about this film as much. I don't know, maybe because it's sci-fi. I'm just trying to think of like what their reasoning is, and I can't put my finger on it, because I think it is overall an interesting film. And I would think that there is an audience on Netflix, for this film.
Oh, so, I'm sure it's doing great on Netflix.
Oh, okay.
You like the film?
I enjoyed it overall. There were, I guess, one thing that I found challenging, and this is maybe just something on my end, but I felt like the subtitles were really fast, and I didn't always get a chance to read what they said. So I don't know if they were just talking really fast, or maybe I was reading too slow.
And as the film goes on, this is a international sort of situation that everybody's dealing with that encompasses all of humanity. And so we not only have Chinese characters, but we've got Japanese characters and French and German characters, and everybody
Russian
speaks in their
characters.
native tongue,
Yeah.
which I found very interesting. And they all wear like universal translator type things. So it's no big deal for them, but there's no dubbing over. Everybody's speaking in their native language, and then you just get the subtitles, for everything they say, except for no English subtitles.
Right, of course.
Yeah.
Which I think that went over well.
Yeah, that was neat. It's really long. I don't think it has to be
long.
as long as it is. It's actually, it's not that long. It's like 2 hours and 15 minutes or something like that, or maybe a little under. And I just felt myself going through certain parts and going, I know that this is the action set piece that gets us from here to there, but this part's going on for a while.
Yeah.
And there are a lot of ancillary characters, some of whom are really fun to follow and interesting,
Right.
and some of whom could have just been somebody else. There's like 24 people that we're kind of tracking in this film.
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
and so
that's
for
true.
me, it felt like the Chinese Geostorm.
Okay.
You know what I mean? A lot of digital effects, a lot of zip bang, a lot of people we're supposed to follow, a lot of little sort of quips that it's supposed to stand in for character development for a certain character. It's like, I'm a computer guy and I make weird utterances about stuff, and you're like, okay, guess we got that guy. Who's the next guy? I'm kind of dumb, but I like to yell about this or something, and then we just kind of move on, and everybody's, I'm a girl. Oh, that's her character.
Right.
Okay, next guy.
Right.
Yeah, and so it's no different than a Western film.
That's
and
true.
I think that I wonder if that's just inherent in trying to do a big sci-fi action blockbuster and losing track of people, or if this is, a runoff, a Xerox of something like Geostorm.
Mm-hmm.
Those films do very well in that Eastern market.
Yes.
And
like the Meg.
Yeah, the Meg. Yeah, exactly. And so I wonder if it's just the people behind this film, and I'm not exactly sure who the director is. I'm not sure I'd be able to pronounce his name. Anyway, but if they were just like, we want to make that kind of movie, so let's go for it.
Mm-hmm.
Judged by, per se, a Geostorm or that type of movie, it's totally, I think it slots perfectly into those kind of films.
Mm-hmm.
I don't think you're ever going to get particularly really invested with any of the characters. Like I said, I think it's a little too long, and there are parts that are so they're so zippy as to be. There's just parts that are unbelievable. I know it's literally you have to accept it's a movie where we attach engines to the planet Earth, and so now we can steer it through space like a like a spaceship.
Mm-hmm.
And if you can accept that, you have to watch the film. That even being said, there's some things that are like, come on.
Right.
Even in your advanced world of the humanity has solved all their differences because they've gotten the notice that in 100 years or so the sun's going to blow up, so we got to get out of here.
Mm-hmm.
And so that collaboration has allowed humanity to develop all this great technology. But even that being said, like, it would take hundreds of years to build all of these 10,000 engines, that city-sized engines that I guess work off of fusion. There's this little beach ball or big type thing that can power them just for years and years and years. And it's not only that, they have to fly 2,500 years to Alpha Centauri or whatever.
Right.
It's going to get real cold once you leave the heliopause.
Mm-hmm.
Like, you think it's cold now.
Right.
Nothing will be alive on the surface of Earth. I just don't understand. And I don't know if there are other books by Sixon that have the continuing adventures of wandering Earth, but I kind of wanted those stories more than this story. Like, I think they did a good job like making the kid and his father the emotional core of the story. But I love generation ship stories, and the first 10 years of a generation ship story is not the exciting part of the generation ship story.
It
gets exciting when the AI breaks down or the engines broke.
Right.
And then feral, mutant humans are coming, like Pandora, something like that.
Right. Yeah. And like you were saying, like there's one character who he's kind of nerdy and he knows things about these ships, but like he has like two 20-sided die for some reason, and we don't really come back to that. It's not like he's like, I'm gonna roll this and then whatever number I get, that's however many equations.
You think it's gonna be like the end of Wet Hot American Summer, where they're like, we need a random number generator that can do a number from 1 through 20,
right?
Yeah.
Like, why show them when you introduce the character unless it's just made for shorthand? Like, this guy's a nerd. I mean, I think that's all it is.
That's what it is.
Yeah.
I did like the fact that. And this is funny because I think you get this. I don't want to stereotype an entire country, but I think that you get in these kind of Chinese action movies, you get this sense of like heroism and this sense of like this is this incorruptible hero and he's going to get it done no matter what.
Mm-hmm.
And sort of against that, you get a lot of situations where what they're trying to do totally fails.
Right.
It isn't like he's just the best, he's Chinese Jason Statham, and he's just going to like grit it out, and they accomplish their thing. Like, there's these tragedies that happen because instead of everything working out so it's fine, things don't work out. And what they're trying to do is impossible.
Right.
And they use this a couple times to make it seem like, I think they do that to make it seem like Earth might not get out of this thing.
Right.
And spoiler alert, Earth gets out of it. It's got a long journey ahead of it, but... And I thought that those were good, but I didn't think that I thought they just kind of happened and went by like anything else. It'd be like, oh no, we crashed the truck. That's bad. Oh no, 250,000 people died. Oh, that's bad. Oh no, Grandpa died.
Yeah.
Like a lot of them go by with no real emotional impact.
Yes.
And maybe it's just too much for these characters to, I mean, they have like 9 billion lives in their hands. Maybe it's too much for them to really get their minds around. But I like the fact that they didn't always succeed. But when they didn't, it was not, I didn't feel like the emotional weight of a lot of the really bad things that were happening on the course of their adventure.
Yeah. And I think what you're saying too, we're following like 12 characters, like, and then like the leader of this
the
mission
unit, or
is like, we lost so and so, so and so, and so and so, and then their lives are going to be in vain if we don't continue on. And I'm like, I don't know if I could even tell you who so and so, so and so, and so and so were.
Right.
You know.
Yeah.
And that makes me feel like bad, but it was like, but their characters weren't really presented as like being unique and like, you know,
like a real. I've seen other movies like this where you've got, okay, so and so, so and so, and so and so, love them and all, but we're talking about like 9 billion people.
Right.
We're talking about
right.
Well, actually, it's half of that because one of the things is like in order to direct the Earth's flight, it has to be stable. It can't rotate anymore, so they have to stop the rotation of the Earth, which will cause giant tsunamis that'll kill 2.5 billion people, which they just sort of toss off.
I know.
So anyway, but if they had set up like it's like a submarine movie, there's always the scene where, you know, these are good men and they do everything they have to, and then they get hit by a torpedo and the compartment's flooding, and then the captain has to say, seal the compartment. You know, they're still in there. It's like, do it. You know, you have to sacrifice people, you know, for the greater good.
Right.
And they never really run into that.
No,
they lose people along the way, but there's never a situation where it's like, so-and-so's got to go. Like, sorry.
Yeah, right. And I think that would have been more powerful if they had done that. Well, there's another, like, something crashes into the eye of Jupiter so they can, like, prevent Earth from going into Jupiter's gravitational pull. And then, like, this stream of, like, fire and ash, like, comes back on the Earth. And they didn't talk about that, like, before it happened, but clearly people died where that happened, and supposedly it happened where all of our characters were, and yet a lot of them survived somehow.
Yeah, this movie's a funny combination of like hard science and just like total wackadoo type stuff. It has a basis in hard science, which it takes then, like something like Star Trek, for instance, to just go, well, that should mean this, right? It's like, would it mean that though? Yeah. You're going to use this explosion from Jupiter to propel the Earth, which is all well and good, but it's an explosion from Jupiter.
I know.
You can fit like 3 or 4 Earths in the red spot. So an explosion from the red spot would be larger than Earth. You would have half a planet left. There would be a hemisphere just flying through space now like a bullet.
Right.
But, you know, they're already going to have to deal with that when all the animals, plants, everything on Earth freezes solid when they're in interstellar space.
Right.
Yeah, this movie is just a combination of like Deep Impact and like Armageddon and all these different movies. And then they had a little Wall-E in there because you've got a space station that has a AI that's like maybe doing its own thing. There's just a lot of elements. So I don't know. The final thoughts. Yeah, I think it's free. I mean, yeah, watch it for sure. I mean, there are some really amazing sort of effects. And you think about how everybody shit their pants over like gravity. There are entire scenes that take place not just floating around going, oh, and looking at stuff in space that are like, they are on a thing that's spinning around and the other part of the station is going around and they're flying through, and that's all has to be done in a computer, I guess, but it looks great.
It does.
Yeah, I mean, so for that alone... And I hope that this is the beginning of like some really great stuff from China. I think this is a great start. I think it definitely is just like, boy, I sure like American disaster movies. And I hope that evolves into more.
Yeah, I am too. I enjoyed watching it, so.
Okay. Didn't have to be much.
No.
But you said it. So yeah, it's The Wandering Earth. You can check it out on Netflix right now. Well, from explosions and fire in space to fire in the heart.
Oh my gosh.
Fire in the soul
of
creation. We're talking about the film Tolkien.
Yes.
Did I say it right?
You said it right.
Tolkien.
Yeah.
I think we predicted that if anybody watches this movie, this will be the over-under point where people finally learn how to say the name Tolkien. Although I did think it was interesting in the movie when Tolkien goes and talks with the philology professor, and he's like, "Oh, Tolkien from the German Tolkien," and it's like, he said it right there.
Yeah. It's
So,
just going to confuse the crap
I
out of
haven't
people.
been wrong all these
Yeah,
years.
great.
That is definitely one way to say the movie. But no,
Great.
Early on in the film, we make a particular point
Yes.
out of a scene where he says it's Tolkien.
Yes.
And he's mercilessly mocked for that. This movie stars Nick Holt.
Mm-hmm.
And we can get into this
Okay.
as the film, or as our commentary on the film goes on, but I don't know about this kid.
Yeah.
Thought I knew, and I'm not sure now.
Yeah.
We'll talk about that in a little bit.
Yeah.
It's directed by a Finnish director named Dom Karukoski.
Okay.
No, the answer is no. He's never done anything that you'd know. He's done a lot of films in his native Finland, but probably nothing that you have really heard of. This is his first real English language film.
Okay.
It also stars Lily Collins.
Yes.
Which I have a story about her.
Okay.
It's got Derek Jacobi, Colin Meaney,
Mm-hmm.
and some other people who would
Some
probably get
other
fired
people.
from a ABC comic book series. What happens in Tolkien?
Well, we follow Tolkien from when he is a young boy.
Stop following him. Have the
Yeah,
rest
I know, right? And his mother dies somehow. He has a younger brother. They go and live in this boarding house.
Disappears.
Yeah, I know. He
Not-
disappears
not
from
part
the
of
film.
the story.
Like not part of his brother's life apparently. And they go to this boarding house with this older lady who runs it, and in this boarding house is a young lady named Edith. Brat, yes. And later in life, her and Tolkien fall in love. He goes to school and he meets these three friends, and they create kind of like a secret society, and they talk about like art and stuff like that and poetry, and they create things and they share them with each other. And it kind of follows their lives together, and then like they go to college.
It's a TCBS.
Yes, the TCBS.
The Taking Care of Business Society. Right? When you say,
right,
I don't care what country you're from, when you say TCB, that's taking care of business. Well, that's Bachman Turner Overdrive, but yeah, that's Elvis's.
Okay.
No, it's the Tea Club Barovian Society.
Yes.
Because they went to this Barrows tea house or whatever.
Yes, and they enjoyed having tea there quite a bit.
Yes.
And he goes to school. Oh, Colin Meaney is like this. Is he a priest or?
Yeah.
Father of some sort, Francis.
Well, they're Catholic, right?
Yes,
so he
they're
is
Catholic.
yeah.
So he kind of, after his mother passed, is in charge of him and his brother, making sure they get to good schooling and that sort of thing.
Right.
And he's fascinated with language, and he's kind of got this creative mind and has had it for a long time and makes up stories and stuff.
Cellar door.
Yes, cellar door.
Yep.
And then he ends up going to World War I, which
As you do.
Somehow is made into the framing story of the entire film.
I don't know if you might have left some parts out. I mean,
I might have.
He's at Cambridge.
Yes.
And there's something happens.
Yes.
Which is a lot of stuff is yada 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 in this film.
Yes.
To the detriment of really the drama and really the importance of what it means in his life. And so he and his friends are, doing what college boys do and hanging out with some ladies. And there's no suggestion of anything really improprietous in the film other than just being out with some ladies after presumably curfew or whatever.
Right.
And they get caught by a policeman, I guess, because yada yada. Tolkien in the clink, something that I'd want to see.
Yeah.
But we yada yada that. They come back, they're all in trouble, and everybody is like rich and protected, except for Tolkien, who also kind of jumps on the grenade, so to speak. And so the effect of that is that he's losing his scholarship and he's going to be sent down, which means that he's basically getting kicked out of school by default. And he's hopeless because, unlike the rich boys, he can't keep paying for his schooling. So he's
Without
looking
a
at
scholarship,
a lifetime of working in a shop and losing his chance at an education which he needs and wants in order to continue his studies.
Yes.
And so that's when the professor, played by Derek Jacobi, comes in, who is was a mentor to Tolkien in real life, and he gets a sort of sponsorship from him. But before any of that can really come off, we're going to war.
Right.
Oh, no, sorry, that's the World War II version. This is the World War I in England version. A thoroughly polite dust-up. These Jerrys are at the boogie-woogies.
Yeah, right.
The fiddly-dee.
Yeah. England's going to war.
So suddenly the guy from Starship Troopers runs through the thing.
Yeah, right.
Going to war. What? Who was that chap? Yeah, so then he ends up in the, in World War I, but also in the Battle of the Somme specifically, which is the sort of framing device for the entire film, instead of having Cate Blanchett come out at the beginning, which should have seen if she was busy or not. We joined the film with Lieutenant Tolkien in the trenches in the Battle of the Somme, and then going on a journey.
Yes.
With his friend Sam.
Yeah. I don't know if that was a real person.
It all works out. Did you like the movie?
No, not really. I'm going to be perfectly honest. I did not really enjoy it. I thought that, they had moments where they were like taking elements of his storytelling and like using it. I thought there was going to be more moments like that, and they were just really few and far between. Like, I mean, I don't know. I don't need like somebody using a flamethrower in World War I and then it's like a dragon, but that at least is like, that's how we're telling this fantastical story, Yeah. I thought there would be more moments like that, and there just aren't a lot. I just thought that would be like how they chose to tell this story, and that he's always seeing fantastical things everywhere he goes.
Well, we comedically sort of suggested something like that. When,
yes.
Like, last week or the week before when we said, "Oh, what's this thing going to be like?" And it's like, "Oh, he's a child," and his mother's like, "Come in now, Ronald," and he's like, "Oh, I see a little man in a hole in a bush,"
right.
or something like that. That would have been more interesting.
Exactly.
And more fanciful. And I
yes.
feel like this film maybe wanted to do that, not that dumb thing that we suggested, but something to that effect, because it's constantly suggesting that he has a whimsical or sort of magical sort of way that he looks at the world, but stop short of having him literally hallucinate things until the horrors of the fog of war later.
Right.
Maybe that's where it fits the best. But like as he's talking to Edith, and they are sharing this moment, in the restaurant where they're sort of like kind of on the fly, like writing this story together
and talking about language.
Yeah, and then later on they're at the opera, and they're like throwing these costumes on, and they're kind of like dancing around, and it seems like it's supposed to be this kind of like ookie gookie kind of thing, but it never really commits to that. No. And like Nick Holt, now we're going to talk about him, is just flat the entire time.
Yeah.
I don't know if John Ronald Reuel Tolkien, was a real excitable guy, but it's almost just like somebody went, "This is real serious, Nick. Listen to me.
I know,
this is your first big biopic, okay?
Yeah,
serious. You are serious."
Right.
And just the whole time he's just like, "It's kind of serious," and ooh. J.R.R. Tolkien got to think about his whole life before he writes Lord of the Rings. This is what it felt like.
Yeah, I know. So I read Tolkien's Wikipedia page.
Congratulations.
And I know. And
how many times did it end?
A couple times. Right. No, but apparently him and Edith really did like to throw sugar cubes in people's hats. So
absolutely there
are a lot of
specific
things that are very specific, and you feel like, well, this has to be true, because otherwise why would they included it in the film?
Yeah, right. But to the detriment of like,
yes,
often like what's happening in the scene. Like,
yes.
Why did that?
Why was that included?
Just from the construction of like a narrative, like why right then? It's also, I mean, I guess at least those parts weren't predictable, because everything else was predictable. We know this guy's smart, and so the first thing that happens when he gets to his school is he corrects the teacher in his pronunciation of his name. Uh-oh, you're on the list now.
Right.
And that's not going to make the other boys hate him.
Right.
And so they steal his book or his horn book or his primer or whatever. And so they're reading, I don't know, the Canterbury Tales. And it gets to, Mr. Tolkien, would you like to continue to read? And he doesn't have any book, but he just stands up.
And he
just,
has
he's
it memorized.
got it memorized. And
Yeah.
it's like, saw that coming. There was a part when they went into the restaurant, him and Edith, where I thought, okay, now we're going to do the, we're get thrown out of here because I can't afford it because I'd like to take you to a nice place, but I can't.
Right.
I was wrong. Instead, they did the cellar door thing, which I know that he came up with the cellar door thing, but hasn't Donnie Darko beaten that to death?
Mm-hmm.
I don't ever want to hear cellar door ever again. And I guess, Drew Barrymore was too old to play Edith, so we couldn't have that happen. But I don't want to hear a cellar door thing. But they do that instead. And I was like, I guess I was wrong. No, I was right.
It's the opera scene.
Because we go to the opera later, and they can't get in because he can't afford to get the opera. And he's like, I can't afford anything. And then they put on some costumes because it's fun.
I know. And listen to it backstage because it's magical somehow.
Not sure about Nick Holt. Don't know about Lily Collins either.
Yeah, jury's out on that one too.
Although, check out my theory. Check it out. Liv Tyler plays Arwen in Lord of the Rings.
Yes.
Now, the character of Arwen, and apparently the character of Luthien, were both based in part on Edith. And so I think casting-wise, Lily Collins, good choice. She's got, dark hair. She's got a mean eyebrow game going on.
Right.
You could see how he would turn this. This is like the fair elfin lady or whatever. Mm-hmm. So we've got Liv Tyler, daughter of Steven Tyler, plays this character. In this adaptation or this biopic of Tolkien made around 10, 15 years later, we've got Lily Collins, daughter of Phil Collins, playing the character it's based on.
Yes.
When we get 10, 15 years more down the road, and we're going to do another one of these things, maybe the Amazon series.
Right.
What 90s pop star's daughter do we cast? Because we went 70s Aerosmith, 80s Phil Collins, 90s, got to have somebody.
Yeah.
And I came up with the perfect answer.
Yes, you did.
You might have helped. I can't remember.
Bono
has a daughter named Eve Hewson.
Yeah.
Who is a willowy brunette
with mad eyebrow game.
Yes, who would be perfect to play Luthien.
Yeah.
When we do the Lord of the Rings show.
Right.
So listen to me, Amazon. Jeff Bezos, pay attention.
Right. Yeah. I think it's an interesting correlation, and so far it makes a lot of sense. So
why cap it off with him writing literally the last scene? It's not really a spoiler. Is writing in a hole in the ground.
I know. I don't know why.
It's like nothing else happened in his life after that.
Right.
And I think maybe this is why the Tolkien family was like, no, come on.
Yeah. Yeah. And I think maybe another part of it is that it focused so much on his young life and didn't really talk about him, being a father as much, or being a professor.
Which is why his family, his descendants, are probably like, hey, what the hell?
Right.
Yeah, they yada yada'd
him
everything.
Becoming a professor.
They yada yada'd him. Yeah, getting a chair at Oxford.
Yes.
There's one scene where he's riding a bike, and they're like, Professor Tolkien. I guess we know he's a teacher, an instructor now.
Yeah.
They literally yada yada his marriage and the birth of his first child, and suddenly his wife, who has supported him the entire time, is like, I don't know if we can do this anymore. And
right. She says something.
Bitch, I'm 2 weeks away from in a hole in the ground. Just hang on. Just hang on. And it ends like you'd imagine, where he's like, it's like a fellowship.
I know.
Why couldn't you have died in that trench?
And then he's like you said something about this too after we watched it. It's like he's just writing in calligraphy, and you're like,
well, his editor must hate him.
Yeah. I'll send you a typewriter.
Here you go. Here's a steamer trunk full of parchment paper that my first manuscript is on. Yeah,
I know, right?
Probably didn't actually go like that.
No.
Paper shortages during the war, don't you know? Yeah, there's a lot. It feels to me like they're like, okay, we can't go past. First of all, he would have had a mustache for most of this movie, and we can't put a mustache on sexy little Nick Holt. So that doesn't happen. We don't want him to get old, so we'll just wrap it up when he begins writing The Hobbit.
Right.
And for that reason, then, we've got to focus on the young part of his life. So what do? English boarding school.
Yep.
Stiff upper lip. Let's do Dead Poets Society.
Yeah.
And so we just do, TCBS, all of his friends. And I guess the emotional core and like climax of the film is when his friend, is Jeffrey,
yes,
dies in the war.
Yes.
And he meets with his mother, like afterwards, played by the actress who plays Mon Mothma in Rogue One. And basically, like the whole time, she thought that Jeffrey's, writing and his poetry was just this frippery, this thing that he did, and she's like wanted him to have a real job. And I don't know why she respects Tolkien, but he's basically like, no, he was really good. Like,
right.
And
I'd like to wish,
I've got like these poems of
published.
his. Like, would you please let me publish these because you don't understand how good your son was at this. And she's like, oh, I had no idea, and thank you so much. And it's like, this guy was real, right?
Right.
And he wrote real poems.
Right.
Do you want to read one of them?
I know, right?
Do you want to tell us one of the poems?
Yeah.
Well, we didn't do that?
No, we did not do that.
No. So, okay. Well, moving on.
I'm glad we had that scene. Yep. Yeah.
Poems. Here is a unit of poems.
Yeah. I know, right?
So there's just like for a man whose life was just consumed with language and phonesthetics and just poetry and prose. There's just so little reading recitation. There's so little text in the film. There's so little. That's just no celebration of that, like in the film.
Yes. Yeah, I would agree with that, and
the structure of the flashback was dumb too. I know you can't just open on them taking a steamship out of Bloemfontein or something like that.
Right.
Like, so they open on World War I, but it closed that part. At the beginning of the third act, we wrap that up.
Yes.
And so there's this huge war. He stumbles out into no man's land. There's guns, shooting, people dying. Jeffrey dies. His other friend dies or whatever. And he's lying face down in the mud. And then, because that's the end of the flashback or flash forward, then he just wakes up in bed and his wife's there. And she's like, you made it. It's just like, no, the tension.
I know.
Immediately resolved.
Yeah.
And where was Wonder Woman? I know how the history plays out. Been there.
Yeah. And there are a lot of things that I feel like that they threw in there, but they didn't really have the emotional weight that they should have. Like, he comes home from school or something at one point, and his mom is kind of like, buckle over for some reason. And then, like, she died somehow. And we're like,
she died.
What?
She was too busy providing for them to look after herself. And
well, apparently in real life she had diabetes, but it was before the invention of insulin.
Yeah, they didn't have a lot for that. Yeah.
Yeah.
It could have been staged a little better.
It could have.
Yeah, he just comes in and she's sort of keeled over by the door. And it's like, okay.
And then next scene. So.
Yeah, and then she died.
It was just, why include that if you're not going to have the emotional weight behind it?
Yeah. Also, again, there are a lot of things in this film, I think, like you said, that you would never write into a script. If you're trying to make a good script, you'd go, let's punch that up.
Yes.
And so this movie is this combination of like real things that actually happened.
Yes.
And then lame, not very good connections to other things that really happened, or just dramatizations that are going to make a movie smooth and good. And so I'm sure that he really did hear that Edith, who, by the way, she got right back on the horse, got engaged to some other guy. It was distraught and was like, got drunk and was wandering around like yelling in Elvish or something like that.
Right.
I'm sure that probably did happen, but it's just so abrupt and weird in the film.
Specific.
And then because that happens, then in comes Derek Jacobi, and he's like, "Hey, were you the guy that was yelling in Elvish?"
I know.
It's just it's like you turned a thing that I guess really happened into such like a movie thing. Like, well, it's time to get the second act rolling here.
Right.
Just out of nowhere.
It is out of nowhere.
Yeah.
And like it's so dark and everything. Like, how did you like recognize it?
I don't know.
Yeah.
Word gets around.
I guess
there's
so.
only one guy in the boys' dorms that's talking in Elvish all the time.
Yeah.
There was also a weird thing where there's this whole idea, this whole British sort of way of life, which is, you know, stiff upper lip, national pride, you know, doing your job, keeping your head down.
Mm-hmm.
And they're both, I understand the modern sensibility of, I want to have 1 million followers on Instagram, you know, or I want to be Billie Eilish or something like that. I want to be famous. I want to do something else. And they've both kind of got that.
Mm-hmm.
And the movie never really rectifies. Usually there's something like, not a great example. First thing came to my mind. Good Will Hunting.
Mm-hmm.
In Good Will Hunting, you've got Good Will Hunting. I don't remember his real name. Probably Will Hunting.
Right.
He's a bricklayer or something like that. He takes odd jobs. He's very smart. And he just wants to do that because he's scared of challenging himself.
Mm-hmm.
But then you've got guys like Ben Affleck who are that, who go, it's okay. I don't think that you are rising above your station or putting on airs because you want to use your intellect. You should do that.
Mm-hmm.
And we get a lot of scenes of Matt Damon, you know, doing demo and knocking buildings down and stuff like that, living that life, but he's allowed to like leave it at the end. In this film, you've got this world where, especially with a war coming up and then another war after that, there are just people in British life who are living this way and maybe tell him that you shouldn't pursue this because you do need to be this way. But it's never, they kind of shit on just being a good British citizen. Mm-hmm. And they never really, there isn't a point where he does leave school and works for a while and gets a little perspective and goes, okay, it's not as bad as I thought, and maybe I could make a family, but I do have this really great idea for a book, and so I'm going to take another shot. It's just like he barely, if he falls off this ledge into being a normal person, oh my God, how horrible that would be. Like she's playing the piano for this old lady who gives her a house to live in meals and food and stuff like that, and she's like, this old bitch. It's like, wow, you guys.
It's like, wow, you can't be grateful at all.
Yeah, it's kind of very un-British.
It is.
I don't know. As I was watching it, I was so bored that I was just trying to imagine why the Tolkien family disowned it so much.
Yeah.
Those are a couple of things I came up with.
Well, and
they don't like In the Air Tonight. That's probably what it is.
Well, they kind of waited until the 11th hour to disown it because it was like the end of April, right?
Yeah.
When they were like, no.
Final cut.
Yeah.
Maybe. I don't know.
Maybe the final trailer.
I don't know.
Yeah.
Never even got that ring to the mountain.
Nope. Never put a ring on it.
Oh, good one. Good one. Well, recommend?
I would not recommend Tolkien, sadly.
Yeah.
Would you?
No, man. I'd read the Wikipedia page.
Yeah.
There are books about him.
Yeah.
Read a book about him.
Yeah.
You know?
Exactly.
Yeah, read boy, I wish I had something specific to send people to. But yeah, go out there. There are commentaries about his stuff. There are biographies about him and his life. Read his own work.
Yeah.
There's just so much of it. Just Farmer Giles and Ham. You know, I don't know. Just like you pick up anything.
Yeah.
You don't really need to go out of your way to watch this.
No.
Unfortunately.
No. It's too bad.
I can't carry Jeffrey, Mr. Tolkien, but I can carry you.
Oh.
One toke over the line, sweet Jesus, one toke over the line.
Well, I wish that could have been better,
No. Yeah.
but it was what it was.
I think it went pretty well.
Oh, the show?
Yeah.
Oh, well, thank you. I meant the film. That we
The
watched.
film. Yes.
And the TV show.
Yeah.
And the other film.
Okay.
A lot of
Fair.
kind of okayness going
Damning
around.
with faint praise.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, the faintest.
Yes.
Yes. The faintest of praise with which to damn you and your efforts. Chinese people and Finnish people.
Yeah. British people.
And I guess it's Americans that make GOT, so we just got that
I guess.
to put on ourselves.
Yeah.
Hey, check us out on social media if you haven't yet. Go to that Facebook, that Twitter. Look for us. We're at Just Enough Trope. And go to your podcatcher of choice. How do you listen to the show?
I think I listen on Apple Podcasts.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. Well,
Yeah.
good. Well, it's a good way to do it.
Yeah.
That's certainly a valid way to do it.
Mm-hmm.
Have you left a review for the show?
Oh,
I'm not
boy,
gonna
you're
like
putting me on
answer.
the spot
I'm
here.
not gonna like the answer.
I honestly do not know the answer to that question, so I should look into that and get back to you.
Release the Panthers.
Oh, my goodness.
Oh.
It did not go?
All right, there we go. Yeah, well, if you haven't, come on, man. What are you waiting for?
I know.
Get on that Apple Podcasts or that Google Podcasts, that Stitcher, that Acast, that, oh, crap, I was going to have a whole list of them. There is a whole list of them. We're on pretty much any platform that you can imagine. Like I said, I like Castbox FM. That's my new platform of choice.
Nice.
I'm not saying don't use the other ones, but if you're on that one, subscribe to us there, leave us a review, leave comments on the show. Individual shows can have comments on CastBox. It's one of the things I like. So if there's something that you wanted to say, hey, I'll stand for that, Tolkien. Watch out. I don't send the Ents after you for not liking that.
Right.
That's up to you. But yeah, tell us how you feel about it. For or to that end, give us a review because we want to hear how you think we're doing, and give us a rating, whatever platform you're on. It's really the most important thing. That's how the platform in question knows that we're doing a good job and how we can reach more people thanks to those algorithms. Algorithm. Do you think if Tolkien knew the word algorithm, he might replace Celador?
Maybe.
Algorithm. Yeah, I think that it's got a lot of beauty to that. Very sonorous.
Yes, it is.
Indeed. So, yeah. Give us 5 thrown sugar cubes. End up in a lady's hat or something.
Yeah, exactly.
Couldn't you get shot back then? No, we're past the age of duels, right?
Yeah, I think so.
It's just...
You get a lot of probably perturbed
John
looks.
Ronald Reuel Tolkien killed at 20. Cause of death, thrown sugar cube. And then killed in a duel.
Oh, my gosh.
For a Celador.
Yes.
And an algorithm. Give us 5 stars. We'd appreciate that. And that's pretty much it. This one went okay, I think.
Yeah, I think so.
Let's ask the Jaguar. Yeah, he agrees. I love those wildcat sounds. Don't know why. Next week we'll be talking about something else. I think it's probably time to fire up Comic Book Club again.
Sure.
We'll give you some more updates as we get closer to that time. But in the meantime, thanks for listening. We're signing off. I'm your host, Caliban.
I'm your co-host, Mika Hana.
Keep the geek fires burning.
Over the line, one, two.